Welcome to Core Finance. Gives you great pleasure to introduce Matt Brown. Morning to you, young Matt.
Good morning.
Right, let's kick off with the headlines. The market moves this morning. Global PMI is in focus. Catalan on the brink of independence. So politics again.
Yeah, politics. I mean, it's interesting. I'm not saying Brexit's got boring, but certainly from the market point of view, they're looking at the Catalan independence, they're looking at the vote, looking at what's going on in Spain, they're looking at Brussels' reaction to that. What does that mean for the European model, certainly after Brexit? So it's drawing a bit of focus. Obviously, it's not good for the Spanish banks. There's a bit of instability in Spain. Actually, the Spanish PMI data that came out today was quite strong, but we'll obviously see how this could potentially impact the macro data going forward. So that's really driving the market. Elsewhere, we've seen some okay UK PMI numbers out. We've had a slew of bad macro data, or not as good as expected macro data come out over the past couple of days, and that's hit the pound, certainly helped the FTSE push up. So the UK PMI looking a little bit better. We're looking at the US later on, and that's really kind of drawing investors' focus this morning.
Understood. Let's move on to FTSE one to watch. Tesco's, are they back on track?
Yeah, big numbers, good numbers from them today. They are out of the FTSE. This is probably the biggest company reporting this week. So slap bang in the middle of the week, this has drawn quite a lot of focus. Numbers are good. Like for likes up 2.1%. Profits up 20% in comparison to last year. And a big one for investors.
Dividend.
They've resumed a dividend. It's only 1p, so it's not a huge amount, not even enough to get you a trolley in Tesco's, but it is positive, and they are on track. And David Lewis, the chief exec, seems to be turning the business around. And how are they doing it? They're keeping the costs down. They're trying, obviously we've got food inflation in fresh food, but they're trying to keep costs down and obviously aware of losing market share. Performing well. Good story for Tesco's this morning.
Okay, let's move on to AIM Eagle Eye. What do the Eagle Eyes do?
Well, I picked this one up yesterday. Now, it validates and redeems digital promotions in real time for grocery, retail and hospitality. What does that mean? It's vouchers on your phone to get discounts.
The old green shield stamps.
Yeah, almost. I mean, it's not Bitcoin, it's vouchers that you can actually buy stuff with. Now, they've been exceeding expectations, and they've got the former deputy, in fact, of Tesco's. He actually headed up the Fresh and Easy US arm of Tesco's that didn't do too well. But he has, Tim Mason is his name, he's been called by Warren Buffett a very intelligent and person to look out for. So Warren Buffett is bullish on him. The company's interesting. It's performed well. 65 million market cap. IPO'd at 164 in 2014. Now trading at £2.60. Take a look at it.
Understood. Let's move on to currencies. The pound, Great British Pound against the US dollar, 132.82, and the euro, Great British Pound, 88.53. Dollar strength coming through.
Yeah, dollar strength, and we already mentioned the macro data that came out from the UK over the past couple of days. So we saw some sterling weakness. Sterling actually has lifted up a bit on the back of the PMIs, but we're kind of in that range now between the 136 and the 130. I think there's resistance. We broke through the 133 resistance. 132 on the downside is the next stop. But is there a case now for the cable to push back up to 136 in the short term? I don't think so.
Understood. Let's move on to brokers. JD Wetherspoon's a favourite of mine. Previous recommendation, a sell, move to a new recommendation of a hold.
Yep. So that's a new.
They had numbers recently, didn't they? Tim Martin.
Good numbers. Tim Martin obviously likes to get on his soapbox when the numbers come out. Always worth a good read. But they are doing well. I mean, it's similar to Tesco's. Look, they're keeping the costs low. They're looking at managing their estate portfolio, getting rid of pubs that aren't working or underperforming. So it is a good company. It is looking at that trade in the particularly the lower end of the pub market. But the stock, I mean, this year alone, it's gone from £8.80 up to £12.33. So that's performing well. The dividend, though, hasn't increased over the past 3 or 4 years. And I think for long-term investors, if we get good results at the next announcement, we want to see a dividend hike.
Okay, let's move on to the core number today, 100 billion. What's the headline?
Well, I've picked this out. This is actually in the City AM today. Javier Role, if I get the pronunciation correct,
said so.
Chief Executive of the London Stock Exchange, is saying the UK could have, in the next decade, a fintech company, hopefully it's Core Finance, worth £100 billion. And that's great news for UK PLC. We are moving into being a bigger player in the fintech industry, and certainly need to catch up with the likes of the US, Korea and Japan. But I think that could be the key play, certainly for the UK post-Brexit over the next 10 years. Fintech is the way forward.
Right, let's wrap up today with the economic calendar. Some numbers out of the US ADP employment change, market services PMI, ISM non-manufacturing PMI, and Fed Yellen's speech in terms of the ECB. Draghi speaks as well. All political.
Well, look out for the ADP. Always a precursor for non-farm, although it can get it wrong. And there's going to be, non-farm on Friday is going to be interesting, obviously, with the hurricane effect, and the numbers are expected to be a lot lower than usual for the prints this month. ECB Draghi speaking and Fed Yellen speaking. She's going to be on track, and I don't expect any shocks there, and that's obviously going to be dollar positive if she stays on track. And look out for the PMI data out of the US later on. It's been a quiet start to the week. China's closed, so I think now we're going to start getting into the thick of getting some direction. But certainly, as I say, non-farm payrolls on Friday is the focus.
Matt, thank you very much indeed.